Changi Compagno. Okay, let's do the four immeasurables or limitless contemplations. May all beings have happiness and create the causes of happiness. May they all be free from suffering and creating the causes of suffering. May they find that noble happiness which can never be tainted by suffering. May they attain universal impartial compassion, free of worldly bias towards friends and enemies. Sem jendam je dewatang dewe jutang den pa jujig Dungal tang, dungal chichu tang drawaju chik, dungal mepe dewa tampa tang mindra waju chik, nearing chak tang ni tang drawe, tang num chempo lani pa chik. So everybody, please turn on your cameras if you can. Even if you're in pajamas, I'm very happy to see you in pajamas. That means the Dharma goes with pajama very well. Okay, so it's nice. If it's cold and you're in bed, it's lovely. We've got cold weather again. So today I'm going to continue with what we were doing last week with the stories, but now I've called it Karmic Imprints Can Be Stirred by Wise Dharma Stories. So I ask myself the question, why am I busy most days these days, with studying habitual karmic imprints, my own and other people's? It seems to be what I'm doing all day long. Because for me, it is essential to become totally aware of these karmic imprints and to see deeply how they repeatedly cause similar situations for us. Okay, these situations cause us all such suffering, yet we spend our time fighting with them, trying to get rid of our situations, working out what we're going to do in our situations, instead of coming to terms with them and allowing them to dissolve and seeing whatever circumstances you are as your own miscreations. Now, very interestingly, last night in the bathroom, I was listening to La Melena when someone asked her what to do with a very bothersome person in their life, okay? Somebody that bothered them all the time. I'm sorry, Kathy's got a work function, but she was the one that asked what can she do with a real bothersome person. So this is what La Melena answered. She said, these are people who bother you all the time. She said, instead of trying to retaliate and hang on to your feelings of being bothered, okay, she said to this bothersome person, look at the one who is being bothered. You're the one that's being bothered. That person might be bothering you, but you're the one who's being bothered. It's you. You have the bothersome characteristic because of your karma, your background, your responses to things. Look straight through the bothersome characteristic into your spaciousness, into your true nature that can accommodate this self-created circumstance. Come to terms with this in you. And then it dissolves, and the other person and their behavior doesn't bother you in the least bit. Now, it's very interesting, because how do we deal with bothersome people all the time? It's really, really, really difficult when we've got bothersome people, but it's us. We created them. We have to deal with them totally and utterly. So I'm going to start with my first story tonight, and my first story called Mindset. A man was passing some elephants at a circus ground and was confused by the fact that these huge creatures were being held by a rope tied to their legs. It was obvious that the elephants could at any time break away from the ropes they were tied to, but for some reason they did not. He saw the trainer nearby and asked, how did these beautiful, magnificent elephants, Shame, all these people from overseas and they're 2 hours behind us. He asked how these beautiful, magnificent animals just stood there with no attempt to get away. The trainer explained. Now listen carefully because I wanted to apply it to your lives. When they were very young, these elephants, and when they were much smaller, the same size rope was used to tie them. And at that small age, this rope was really binding for them, okay? It still held them, okay? They couldn't move from the rope, Halapemi. As they grow up, they are conditioned to believe that the rope still holds them if they try to break free. So these gigantic creatures, so much stronger than the rope that tied them, limited their present abilities by the mindset of the past when they were trained, when they were baby elephants. And in the story it says, we do this with so many things that we believe we cannot do and refuse to attempt because of our mindset of the past. This completely limits our potential, especially when we don't believe we are already enlightened beings. Now, this is a very important story because it's fascinating. For example, if one of your parents was very critical of you, let's say, very critical with you when you were growing up, you develop a mindset. And the mindset's something like, I'm just not good enough, or I'm going to outsmart everyone, or I need to control everything, okay? Firstly, your impelling consciousness. Remember that all your karmic imprints go with an impelling consciousness when you die. So those imprints become an impelling set of consciousness with your karmic imprint. So firstly, your impelling consciousness with your karmic imprint of, say, arrogance, say you had arrogance before, impels you into the critical parent syndrome. So you are deliberately, your own miscreation impels you into those parents who are critical of you. It's not that you got it from the genes. You already had it and you came in with that imprint with your impelling consciousness, and now they are critical. And why is it that you get these critical parents? To punish you for having been very judgmental in a previous life? Definitely not. In fact, in Buddhism, we don't think there's very much punishment at all. We think there's reaping going around, as I said in one of the stories last night, but there's not really punishment. So what is it? Is it to give you a chance to develop humility? Yes, yes, yes. It's an opportunity for you to take an arrogant imprint and change and develop humility. It's a wonderful opportunity. So when you understand and become aware of this, then you drop the I'm not good enough, or even I better be better than everyone, or even I need to control every single thing in my life so no one can hurt me. You know, I have that all the time from people. Or rather see the truth and accept it as your creation, and that this is an opportunity. So you view it all with gratitude. I'm so grateful that I had these parents or this mother that criticized me, because I learned what it was like. And that was me, my impelling consciousness, bringing me into that life so that I could pay and do what I needed to do with my life. So I'm throwing it open because I think this is such an important thing, because all of us bemoan the plight that we're in. We bemoan it. We say, look at me, look at what I've got. I've got nothing. I don't have this. I can't have this. I have a terrible relationship. You have a good relationship. You know, we compare ourselves. You can't, because on a relative level, there is your alaya or substrate consciousness, and it's got all your imprints. So when you get sick, as I've discussed with you, when you have all of these things, it's that impels your consciousness into a particular situation. So maybe someone wants to ask or even comment. It's really important. You know, people say to me, I had these parents, they got divorced. I didn't have a chance of this. I didn't have a chance of that. And of course you had a chance. You just didn't know what the chance was about. You just felt terrible all the time. Any questions? Don't be shy, because it's really important. I want you to apply these stories. I'm not reading you stories for entertainment. I'm reading you stories to apply. Anyone, please feel free to say anything or comment or ask. This is really important, because when you're looking at your life, if you're not looking at your life like that, then you're wasting your time. And what I'm going to do next time is I'm going to do a comparison between this life and the end of the death life, the afterlife, so that we can see what happens, how this life and that life are comparable. Unless you haven't had enough. If you'd like to have another 20, 30 million lives, please be my guest. I will assist you from the Pure Lands, okay? I'm not coming here again to do it. Unless I'm sent, my husband's delighted I'm not coming back, okay? Please, Lily, go for it. Just unmute yourself and then mute afterwards. Hi, Booby.
Hi, everyone. Just to comment on what you were saying about, like, with the elephant almost being shackled by the chains of what was restricting it when it was younger, and then the whole notion of, like, the inheritance of, like, the families we're born into, almost the type of circumstances that develop our, like, shackles, let's say, when we're younger, where you say that it's like, oh, this teaches us certain things, where it's like you inherit certain, like, things, which I find quite ironic, because, like, whereas it's almost like a never-ending cycle, is whereas, like, when you inherit a particular circumstance that teach you certain skills, you end up, if you ever have kids, you end up passing on what you learned, and then that they themselves develop a completely different set of, like, skills based on what skills, I'm going to say skills in quotation marks here, because, like, let's say karma, actually, I think karma would be a more appropriate term, which is really funny, because it's like your parents go through a certain, or like the other generations, like very similar generational trauma, other generations go through their karma, and then how that karma is inflicted upon them and how they digest that karma and are able to move through that karma. You don't inherit the same karma. You inherit maybe something similar, but you almost inherit something completely different. And it's all almost like it's all like the same, but also not the same. Like, wait.
Know what you're saying. I know
Yes.
what you're saying.
Sorry, guys. It's a bit convoluted. I'm usually much better, like, articulated, but it's been a very long
Perfect.
day.
I understand it. Sure, it's fun. No, I think that's really beautiful what you're saying, because you know why? You see, there are two aspects to life: the relative life and the ultimate life. And always remember, you are living both of them at the same time. Does that mean you ignore the relative life and you just go for the ultimate life? No, because then you'll definitely fail, and you'll be of no help to anybody around you. You have to live in the relative world, and you have to react in the relative world. And what's really important, Lily, is so important, that what you understand is, like people are always saying, it's the DNA in our family. I mean, I've got the DNA from our family. Wrong. It's not the DNA in your family. It's the relative karma impels you into that. It's not the DNA, but the DNA is what enables the whole lesson and stage of the drama to take place, because you are like that. And like what you're saying makes such sense. that you see people, you know, many, many times. I could see things my mother did to me. I could actually hear my mother when I was instructing my children, you know, and I went, oh my goodness, you know, there were certain things I didn't like my mother doing, and I found me doing them too. So the point is here, what we're talking about is living a deluded life, which means that you are not looking at anything. You are living on a relative level. You are living about success. You are living with your human consciousness only. And there's so many people that do that. And then what happens is you actually, when you're living in that consciousness, you're totally unaware. You forget what you're here for. You forget who you really are. And so when you go through the difficult things, if you happen to find somebody like me or a friend that happens to have like tried to awaken a tiny bit, they will remind you of that. And they'll say, hang on, you're just going along with all these imprints. Stop and take a long, hard look and see how you can change this. And don't see yourself as a victim. See yourself as a creator with a beautiful, spacious part that can change anything. So it's really important. So when you look at the helicopter view, you see it completely differently. Like maybe, Mart, you're in Germany to really loosen a few people up there. You know, maybe you're there to come out. Maybe you've just got to come out with outrageous things, you know, that make people go, oh my God, I know Pam in Germany is always doing crazy things. She goes, oh, these people, and they so like that. You maybe have to knock that off, knowing exactly what it is and knowing exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, but look, I mean, we're all different, but I've got a different theme, I think. I mean,
Tell me.
and what, yeah, well, I mean, you were talking about not being good enough. I mean, I think it's such a wide range of what you can't be good enough or what you think you're not good enough at or whatever. And I left Germany, and I felt like, I was like doing okay, but not, wasn't very, I mean, I was successful, but in my mind, I was not. And I went to South Africa, I was very successful with everything, and now I'm back at Germany, and I tell myself every
It's
day that I'm not good enough at anything. My neighbor who's doing this, and he's got good handyman. I've got two left hands, and I'm not good enough at this, and I don't have enough money, and the other people have all the other. So that's actually the
But let me
um,
say something to you.
theme.
Isn't your particular life, just mute yourself so we got the videos right. Your particular life is of such interest for people that, for example, start off with a particular disposition in a family, break free, go somewhere else, and are absolutely free and shed lots of the things that you did in your family, and then come back. You can then come back to that tight environment. Now, it's very, very interesting because maybe one should say, thank you, universe, for sending me back. Because now I've got the opportunity to react completely differently. So as soon as you catch yourself going back to the tied rope of the elephant, you know, being bound, and still you remember at that moment, and then you go, what is going on here? What is bothering me? Who's the bothersome person? It's this other person that keeps saying, I haven't got my mother or father to do it anymore, but that bothersome person says, you're not good enough. Look at what this one could do. Look at what that one. And you've got to wake up. You've got to wake up, and you've got to realize this is not the truth. This is a temporary drama. That's all it is. It's a temporary drama. Yes, there are painful things, but each painful thing zoops you into a new spot, which is so exciting because then you've got a new chance, and then you liberate yourself, and then it makes no difference. do you all realize, and we'll do this next week, that when you leave this earthly body, there is not one thing you take with you? Not one. Not a child, not a grandchild, not a possession, not a money, not a jewel, nothing. You take nothing except what you've cultivated inside yourself, in your consciousness. Now figure that out. If you've got nothing to take, you can't take any of this and you leave it all behind, even for a famous person. I'm so happy when I see some of these amazing movie stars who've got thousands of fans and everything. I'm so happy when I hear them just talking spiritually for 1 minute and realizing this role is just a role I'm being given. And I need to do it properly, without pomp and without all the rest of it. And I need to leave it all behind. It's the best opportunity. Think about it, everyone. And you're welcome. You can text me anytime about something that troubles you in your life. I'm very happy to. I really, really am. I know Clive also texts me when I'm saying, like, don't harm insects. When I was telling you that before they went on retreat, they had to save as many beings as they could. So he said he's got these insects, and what can he do about it? And I love it when people ask me, if I can be creative and help to change your attitude towards the insects, I'm absolutely delighted, because each insect has got awakened nature. So when we just kill them callously, we're killing off their awakened nature, their chance, and we need to really make prayers for them to be able to be reborn. But let's go to the next story. This is the story called The Meaning of Connectedness. The meaning of connectedness. Harry, an emergency physician, tells the story. One evening on his shift in a busy emergency room, a woman was brought in about to give birth. The nurses rapidly wheeled her into a room and paged him immediately. Then they rushed past him to call her obstetrician. Harry realized it was too late for her obstetrician to come and was pleased, because he liked delivering babies. He never got that much of a chance anymore. The baby was born almost immediately. While the little girl was still attached to her mother, Harry laid her along his left forearm. He took a suction bulb and began to clear out her mouth and nose of mucus. Suddenly, this little newborn baby opened her eyes and looked directly at him. In that moment, Harry stepped past his technical role and realized a very profound, simple thing, that he was the first human being that this little baby girl had ever seen. Now, I'm adding to the story. I'm going to say in this life, okay, because she'd seen plenty of human beings before, but he was the first human being she saw in this life. He felt his heart go out to her in welcome from all people everywhere, and tears came to his eyes. Harry has delivered hundreds of babies, but has never experienced the true meaning of what he was doing before that moment. He had always been preoccupied with the technical aspects and needs and dangers of the birth. This time, he was the physician and the human together, the human being together. He wonders how many other such moments of connection he has missed. He suspects there may have been many. Now, what I want to say is that this year, when I was teaching on Monday morning, if I was a Buddha, how would I behave? And I think those of you that aren't there in the morning should actually go and listen to that series, because that series of teaching, it made me very, very aware of really looking at a person deeply and making a meaningful connection with them, something very, very deep, not a connection of how I perceive them through my background, my karmic circumstances. That's a relative view. But going past that to connect with their struggles, with their pain, with their view, right into their very true nature, stripped bare of all these temporary circumstances. And I'm trying to do this more and more and more. So what I've been doing with a lot of people is that as soon as I meet people, I can see that I will often judge them. You judge people in terms, you may not be nasty or anything like that, but you judge them because you see them in terms of your karmic background, your connection, the way you see them. And when you step back, then you have the Harry and baby experience. Suddenly, you meet them. And instead of seeing all their difficulties, all their things, you see them for who they really are, for their struggle, for why they are being rude, they are struggling. While they are being angry, they are struggling. While they are blabbing, they are struggling. Now, when you actually understand that, you make that very meaningful connection, just like that. And I think we miss that all the time. All the time. Today I had a phone call from my granddaughter. She's 18. She might be turning 9. She might be 19. I'm not sure. I forget it. I lose track. Anyway, she says, "Hi, Mimi. I like to have a long discussion with you." Now, I'm trying to get ready to go to work, but, I don't know when, because she's in Australia. I'm in Johannesburg. We 9 hours difference. So it's really difficult to find the time. So she gives me her whole big spiel about what she's doing and where she's going and how it is and that her parents don't really appreciate how much effort she's putting into the home and things like that. So I listened to all of this, and then I said to her, "But you could actually have another view." And so I explained to her how it was. And yes, I said parents make terrible mistakes. They don't come. And I told her that story of chicken soup for the soul, where the child writes a bill to his mother. He writes a thing and he goes, for cleaning up the kitchen. And he puts $12 or $10. He goes, for helping you with the younger child, $20 or $10, and then he sends her this bill. And then she writes back and she says, "For the pain you caused me in birth, no charge. For getting up at night, all night when you couldn't sleep, no charge. NC. For going through all your school trauma and everything, no charge." And she gives him a bill back with no charge on. So I told her this story, and I said to her, sometimes parents don't really see what their children are doing or really appreciate it. Maybe people do take you for granted. And I gave her a way that you could speak so that you could get recognized and everything. And then she goes, "I love you. I love your wisdom. I must be on my way." She's got a million things to do. But you can just touch. You can just touch the hearts of people wherever you are. And that's that connectedness. I don't know if anybody wants to say anything. There's just one more little story that goes with that one. I'll just tell it to you and then you can. It's called The True Student. A learned monk had many students who lived in a temple with him. One student used to steal from the others. After many appeals to their master to reprimand the student, the other students presented themselves before the master with the ultimatum that either he dismissed the thief or they would leave. The master bowed and replied, "Then you must all go, for you are all good students and will easily find another to teach you. But this thief is irredeemable, and if I throw him out, he will find no one else to care for him." looking deeply into the person. So does anyone want to ask or say anything? Please do. Because the connectedness is so important and the non-judgmental is so important. Anyone? Molly, I want to hear your little voice. I never hear your voice, and I know you've always got so much to say. Come on, I want to hear what you think of that. What do you think about connectedness? I know you've got a lot to say. You and Linda and Yvette, I like to hear your voices very much. Lynn, what are you all saying about that connectedness? I want to hear your little voices, not mine. I'm sick of mine. I want to hear what you get out of it. I want to hear what your circumstances, how you change them from this. Go on, Iga.
Actually, yesterday, hello everyone. Bear with my English though.
Beautiful. We love your English, yeah.
Actually, yesterday it was between 8 and 9 p.m. I was leaving the shopping mall and I was on my bike and I had a bag and there were three teenagers, two girls and one boy. One of the girl was crying and having a hard time.
Shame.
And actually, I excused them, and actually, I asked them for if they could help me with my bag, just to hold my bike, so I could unlock properly, and it was raining as well. So so I said, please excuse me. I know you are in very emotional situation, but if you please maybe help me with my bag. And then I said to this girl, she was 16. The boy was also 16, and the other girl was 15. And I said, I'm so sorry to see you that you have such a hard time. And I wish I could do something for you. And she started venting then. And I spent with those three teenagers guys another hour.
She's going to be teaching in Poland.
And they were trying to explain me how difficult they have with their own parents, and they don't understand them, and with the friends, and they're going through a really difficult situation. And then I was thinking about you, Melanie, actually, and I was thinking, what should I say to them? And or what Melanie would say.
You could say what you would say. Yeah.
Actually, I have to say, for the first time, I was actually no rushing. Like I didn't have like I didn't think about anything, only about just being there, like just to listen. And then I said to the girl that I hear you, I see you, and I said, maybe there's another perspective to look at this situation. And I think nothing else. Like, and she was very grateful, even just for that I was listening to her, because the stuff that she was saying to me was quite heavy. And then it was the insight that how difficult some, like you were saying, that the struggle, like we really judge people. Even myself, walking on the street today, I saw one lady, and in my mind, I had the thought, like, she must be mean, or she must be quiet, it's like, just no way, Iga, don't think about it. She's, I'm sure that she is, just look at her as a human being,
And
if that
she's
makes sense.
stressed. Yeah,
Yeah.
it makes, you know what? Not only does it make sense what you're saying, but I'm crying. Okay, I'm crying because if you all knew Ega before, she was always a lovely person, but very tight, very closed. You had to pull her open to get her to, I think most of her life was done through photographs, and I once told her to come through the camera into whatever she was photographing. So for me to hear this story, it's too beautiful. It makes me cry because this is the purpose. So even though you are struggling, with job and things like that, it's nothing. When you learn the lesson, when you touch the real inside of someone or anyone, then you know that you've got your true purpose in life. And that is what life is about. It's about coming and doing that. It's not about how successful you are, whether you're married, whether you've got children. These are just temporary, transient things. What we need to do is to be there for other people in their suffering. And that's what you did. And when you saw the other lady, you can realize when you see somebody like that, that they're struggling. Okay, the girl and the lady, both were struggling with their lives. And so you're not looking at judging their struggle, you're looking at them, at someone who just needs someone who can connect with them. And that's what the story is about. So I'm clapping for you, totally and utterly. I'm very thrilled. So is Martin clapping for you. We all are, and Lauren, because it's really important. And that's what these stories are for. Now, I want to give you another story. I've told the story before, but I think it's a very important story. It's called The Saint and the Scorpion. One day, a saint was taking a bath in the river. His disciples sat on the bank with the saint's clothes, asana, and rosary. The saint noticed a scorpion struggling in the current. Taking pity, he lifted the bedraggled scorpion in his palm and started wading toward the bank. I've got to tell you all that when I was in India, the first day when I got there to my retreat, there was a big scorpion in the room, and I definitely didn't hold him in my hand like that. I swept him, out of the thing. Anyway, no sooner had the scorpion recovered then it promptly stung the saint on the palm. The saint felt an unbearable burning pain shoot up his arm, but he did not drop the scorpion. Instead, he gently shook his hand to encourage the scorpion to move away from his wound. The saint's disciple, watching from the bank, became alarmed, but he didn't say anything. The saint had taken only a few more steps when the scorpion stung him again. A searing pain, more intense than the first one, went all the way up his arm and throbbed in his head. The saint staggered and nearly collapsed in the river. This time the disciple did call out, "Put him down, Guruji. He will only sting you again. Leave him to his fate. Your kindness is of no value to such a creature. He will learn nothing from it." The saint ignored him and continued walking. He had nearly reached the bank when the scorpion stung him for the third time. The pain exploded into his head, lungs, and heart. The disciple saw a blissful smile appear on the saint's face before he collapsed into the river. The disciple dragged the saint to the shore, still smiling and still cradling the scorpion in his palm. As soon as they reached the shore, the scorpion crawled away as quickly as it could. Guruji, said the disciple after the guru had regained consciousness, how can you smile? That wretched creature nearly killed you. You are right, my son, said the saint. But he was only following his Dharma, his nature. It is the Dharma of a scorpion to sting, and it is the Dharma of a saint to save its life. He is following his Dharma, and I am following mine, and everything is in its proper place. That is why I am so happy. Very profound story. When we have the thought, everything is in its proper place, although I'm a big-time loser here, but it's all in its proper place. These are my creations, and everything is in its place. We are spot on. And I just want you to be spot on in this life. When you spot on, you can really, really, really be in the right place at the right time, although it's painful and although it's difficult. Marion Cassidy, you're too quiet, and I want to hear some of your wisdom. She's got so much wisdom. She lived with this beautiful guru in a center for I don't know how many years, who took her, molded her, taught her, gave her the Dharma. Now, what do you think of that? And what would your guru tell you?
Sorry, Mal, just in connection to what do I think of?
I'm just saying, what do you think when he says everything's in its right place?
Yeah.
Very difficult, isn't it?
Difficult, yeah. It's always a lesson, and it's not easy in the moment. But yeah, it just the teachings always bring you back to that and help with it. And,
now, you tell me one of the biggest teachings that you remember from him. She stayed in the center. He stayed in the center. She's one of the real lucky ones that had coaching 24 hours a day. Okay, he was after her all the time, teaching her, took her from that state, and he brought her right over to the river, the other side of the river. Now, I want one of his special, she still phones him in America or wherever he is. So I want to know one of his special things that he taught you when you were really about being
well, I think that just living close to your guru, you just see how they operate, and they actually see things differently all the time. And you can see it through their body language. I mean, if somebody like asked him, Geshe-la, how are you doing? He's like, I'm perfect. Everything is always perfect. And you just kind of like, you're obviously on a cloud nine when you're close to him and you're living around that environment. And then it's like, when you're not close or you're not living this, take it into your own life again and remember those things. And like when your karmic imprints come up, obviously it's not easy.
Yeah,
but it's always like, I just noticed how much compassion he had all the time for people and his bodhisattva ways. And you just always trying to, if somebody's in a hard situation, you're always trying to see it from their side and not put your stuff on them. And, you know, just always trying to help. Like that was just such a big thing. He would always like pick on me and say, go phone this one, go do this one, go do that, go do this. And I'll be like so exhausted, but it taught me so much. Like
it was the most wonderful chance of your whole life, and very few of us, I always tell you, you know, very few of us get the chance to actually have an intimate relationship, you know, with a guru who's really compassionate and who takes all your stuff and helps you to see. And, you know, when she met him, she was really on the other side of the river, and he brought her right across. And I always remind her whenever she's going through hardships, I say, you know, just remember you had that in your life, and that was the most fantastic thing, because maybe one of the biggest teachings he ever gave you was everything is in its right place. Try and
Yeah.
look deeply at everything, you know. Don't just judge from your human condition point of view. You know, that's such an amazing, amazing lesson, you know.
Yeah,
And I
Mel, I've got another lesson also. When you just said she's
mute
on the
yourself,
other,
Arian. Sorry, because otherwise,
she's on the other. She was on the other side. So this monk is shouting over the river to the master and saying, "How do I get to the other side?" And he says, "You are already on the other side."
I love that story. It's a fabulous story. And the thing is, isn't it strange that when you really feel lost and when you really feel, you know, out of it and everything, you're already there because you're in the perfect situation for your creations. You only here in the schoolroom, no other reason. You only here to learn and sort through and come back into your enlightened state. That's the only reason you're here. You're not here for all the other reasons. And that's the most fantastic thing. And let's do a meditation on all these lessons. Everybody. As you breathe in and you have your spinal column straight, you know that when your spinal column is straight, that the energy can run absolutely, totally through you. Otherwise, the energy gets carried by the karmic winds of all your negative emotions. And that doesn't mean we never have negative emotions. But if we allow the negative emotions to be, they simply dissolve. When we reach that point of the other side of the river, the negative emotions are quite irrelevant. You feel them, you watch them, you observe them, and you don't interfere with them. You don't build them up. So I want you to go back tonight as you're breathing in and taking in all the energy of your beautiful true nature. I want you to remember every time you're in a difficult circumstance, just take one step back and allow that beautiful part of you to come through you. Why? Why allow it rather than your human consciousness? Because your essence has cognizance, awakening, knowing. So it knows, it can see the full circumstances, and it can actually flow through you to respond to the full circumstances, not just your tiny perception. So I want you tonight to just let all your difficulties, your negativity, your problems that you have, your negative emotions, your expectations, your hopes, don't fight with them. Just let them be and watch. Don't interfere. Don't add to them. Don't contribute anything. Just allow them. Give them the spaciousness of your pure, pure mind. And watch. Watch how they dissolve. Don't attach. That's one of our most beautiful, beautiful philosophies of this life. Non-attachment. Whatever you go through, if it's beautiful, don't attach. If it's ugly and hard, do not attach. Just allow it to be. Enjoy it if it's a beautiful thing, but don't attach to it always being like that. If it's negative, don't attached to the pain and suffering and feeding it all the time. Just let it be, let it dissolve. And I want you tonight to go through each story so far. The first one, with your mindsets. I want you to just take one mindset that you have, that you keep on all the time, bringing into the fore when it's not relevant and not able. Whether it's a mindset of I'm not good enough, I've got terrible circumstances, I'm so bad, I'm so this, I'm so fat, I'm so thin, I'm so ugly, I'm so all of these things. Whatever mindset you've got, and some of it you'll find was from one of your parents originally. Just let it be. Watch it. Watch how many times you are bound by it, even though you are actually free to get up. Watch it. See that it is not you. It is not who you are. You are not depressed, concerned, negative. None of those are you. Those are just your temporary, transient, human feelings. As soon as you bring your nature of mind into it, they are totally irrelevant. Just tonight, become aware of some of the things you follow. Some of you have done amazing work in really letting go of many of your mindsets, preconditioned. And some of you are still struggling. Just put that beautiful knowing, cognizance, awareness into it, and it's already halfway gone. Now look at the connectedness you have with people, and just go through today, yesterday, and the day before, and see how many people you truly connected with. You saw them, not through your bias, not through your negative emotions, but you saw them absolutely for who they are. That's how the masters see us. When Marion's Geshe was looking at her, even when she first arrived and she was still in a great human set, he didn't see that. He saw her beautiful nature, and he was there to awaken it. Very blessed, great blessing to have something like that. Look at your connectedness, and look at how many times you failed to connect when you really could have. And finally, remember that the most difficult people in your life are the ones that are there to really, really, really teach you. And it's very, very beautiful. And I want you for one moment now, in your true nature, to just say inside your heart, everything is in its proper place. Just say that sentence. Everything is in its proper place. And let it absolutely dawn on you. That's when it becomes wisdom, when it illuminates something in you. Oh, I'm not in the wrong place at the wrong time. I'm in the right place. I need to work through these circumstances quick to understand that they are there as a real blessing for me. So let's go on to the next story. This is a lovely story. And I think you who are artists, like Lily, you will love this story for sure. It's called The Dragon's Eyes. And it goes like this. A master artist was requested to appear at the emperor's palace to paint a dragon mural for the emperor. He replied that he was far too busy on more important work and he would not be able to paint the mural. The emperor's secretary called on the master artist with a royal command for the artist to appear at the palace to paint the mural. Again, the artist replied that he was too busy with another work of art. The emperor's personal guard came and took the artist by force to the palace and told him he must paint the mural or be executed. The artist proceeded to paint the most beautiful, magnificent dragon of blue and green, embellished with gold. He worked without stopping and finished the mural in a single day. The emperor's secretary came to view the completed mural and declared it a great work of art. He paid the artist the amount of gold decreed by the emperor and said that the emperor would view the mural with the court the following morning. The artist stayed to put the finishing touches on the mural. When all the palace was asleep, he mixed white paint with ground pearl and placed a small dot in the center of each of the dragon's eyes. Gathering up his paints and brushes, he then departed for the distant mountains. I think I must become a storyteller. It's really quite a nice occupation. The next morning, the mural was unveiled before the assembled court. Just as praise was being given for the lifelike quality of the work, the dragon's eyes blinked. The dragon then turned his head around, stretched his wings, and flew out of the palace window, leaving a blank wall that bore only the red seal of the artist. Now, all of you will say, you may think that's a fun tale, okay, but of course it's in a Zen book, so it's got a very deep meaning to it, okay? Let's talk about how manifestations actually happen. Let's talk about that. Because for me, I think it is possible to manifest things if you really aspire to that. And by that, I mean, not because we are selfish and totally desiring or craving things, but when the manifestation is in harmony with the divine universal laws. An awakened person can totally manifest things from their divine nature, totally and utterly, okay? That's why people like the Karmapa could go to a rock and put their footprint in a rock. Just from their minds, they manifested. And I read a story yesterday where one of these great masters sat in a rock and left an imprint of their back. And if you went to this rock and sat back, you could get healed from whatever illness you had. So you can always read the relative situations and see if someone is ready for what they wished for, because masters often say to you, you know, I really wish I could give you this, but unfortunately I can't, because I can see that your life isn't in alignment with what you're asking for. But sometimes because of your devotion and your acceptance of situations, you know, when you ask, This is what I'm really needing. But you offer in exchange for that something you've got, one of your talents, one of your beautiful things, one of your ways of making a connection with people. You don't have to offer money, but when you want to manifest something, you actually have to manifest it, okay? And I think it's so interesting. Now, Lama Lena was teaching this. She lived in this place with all the yogis. And the yogis, as a group, could manifest things. So they had this funny thing. They changed seeds or nuts into other nuts. They actually manifested. So she was sitting in her cave room, and she said she had this packet of, I think it was chickpeas or something. And in her mind, she manifested to change the chickpeas into I don't know, nuts or whatever other seed she wanted. And then she changed her mind, and she changed them again, and she changed them again. And she said, truly, when I came there were all these packets of different seeds that she'd manifested from the packet that she originally had. Now, some of you may say, oh, what blah. Okay, but it really, really is true. Now, I can give you examples of this, of these great masters. Well, you've got the most beautiful example with Jesus, who was a Buddha, who went to the East and was a Buddha. And when he had to feed thousands of people, he had one fish, one loaf of bread, and one glass of whatever he had, wine, whatever they were having. And he manifested enough food for everybody in the crowds of people to eat. Now, if you look at that story, it's not a super whatever spiritual story. It's the truth. And in our own way, we manifest a lot of things in our lives. But sometimes when our lives are so full of all our crap, excuse my language, when our lives are so full of all our crazy ideas, of course you can't manifest. But I know, for instance, and I've got absolute trust. I'm doing lectures every week with all of you, and I can't give the same old. And I know that those subjects get manifested, because suddenly, when I'm going to write stuff for the newsletter, I suddenly understand that I've got to do this or that or the other, whatever. So definitely each and every one of you can manifest. And this artist manifested the eyes and knew that what the emperor had done was wrong. He didn't care the height of the emperor in this life, but he made the eyes, and the dragon was able to fly. And the other story which goes with that is, also from that book, a great Chinese landscape artist spent many months on a large mural. Having completed the final stroke, he sat back to survey the finished work. He sighed deeply and told his apprentice that this was his greatest work, and that he could never hope to do a better painting. He handed the brush to his apprentice and walked up to the edge of the mural. He then calmly stepped onto a rock painted in the foreground of the mural and got into a boat that was moored beside it in his painting. He raised the sail and steered the boat across the lake, where he rounded the headland and disappeared forever beyond the horizon. His work was finished. Now, a lot of you are going to actually say, is that true? Could that be? But I really want you to understand that if you need something really badly in your life, like a job, like money, like a relationship, like this, like that, if you really need something badly, you can manifest it, but not from a selfish, desirous point of view. You have to step back, and you have to see that you're in the proper place at the right time, that there's no mistake, you're not being victimized. And then when you want to manifest, you must first offer. You offer what you have. You know what I've got is, I've got a particular gift. I like to touch people. I like to do their hearts. I want to find work in which I can touch people's hearts. And meanwhile, I want to be able to touch people. Whatever you're offering, I want to help the poor. I want to help this. I want to help those people. Whatever you are offering, that is a manifestation. Because then you can get the things you need, not the things you crave, the things you need. And manifestation is really, really proper. I know when Ekong Rinpoche and his band of people were going from Tibet to India, I mean, at one time they were absolutely starving, and they took their shoes and boiled them, and they drank the leather of the shoes. Now, I'm quite sure, because he had such an incredible ability, he was actually supposed to be a manifestation of the medicine Buddha. And I think he saved the people that went from Tibet to India. I mean, imagine drinking the leather of your shoes and surviving on that. And they did survive. So who knows what else went into the leather. So stop thinking in a limited manner. Stop thinking of yourself as a poor little human being that can't do this and can't do that and hasn't got enough of this and is stranded in that. Start thinking about yourself. Each of us is a Buddha, an awakened person. And if we act in that capacity, first of all the qualities are inside us of compassion, manifestation, anything that you want to do, it's already all inside you. It's just that we've fallen asleep and forgotten that we had that. We can create whatever we need to create. We've got the ability. We are made of the essence, the Dharmakaya. And out of that, creations come. So we never have to be totally limited. And that's how these monks and everything went through the torture of the Chinese. They just kept that compassion in mind, and they kept saying to themselves, I'm in this situation, but I'm in this situation because somewhere these are my imprints. This is what I have to do, and I must keep compassion for my torturer. Very difficult, but a completely different way of being. I'll be very happy if this touches you, especially a few of you that are going through a hard time. You can manifest. So I've got a couple of other stories, but I think I made you tired now. Does anyone want to ask or say anything? Otherwise, I'll just give you another little story at the end. Anyone want to ask anything or say anything? Because, I'm seeing your silence. I can see your concentration on your faces. So I'm taking it that some of you are silent, are absorbing all of this. Is that right? Okay. No, that's very important for me because, sometimes silence can be. Did any of you go to Lamayeshi? Did you go, Fiona, on Sunday? And was it good? But he should have started teaching and then thrown the questions.
Yeah, but he doesn't. As you know, Mel, he doesn't say very much. He doesn't. Anymore. No, he doesn't at the moment. Yeah, he was answering some of the questions, but also, of course, he answers them in ways people don't expect. So.
Of course. But the thing is, isn't it interesting even for him that, he could I've been at Holy Owl with him in the old days, where Fiona truly, he could talk for 3 hours without stop, without even stopping and teach you things. And it's so interesting because now he's come to that point in his life. I know that he manifests so many things. If I say to him, please, we've got this on, we've got that on, we've got to do this, he'll do it. He'll do those prayers and everything in an unbelievable way. But he's reached that point where it's not really for teaching. But I'm sorry I wasn't there, because I would have just kept asking questions, to keep him teaching.
One thing he does do, as you say, Mel, I think he spends a lot of time in prayer these days. He was talking about waking up at 2 a.m. and starting to say prayers for people who've passed away, and so then later in the morning again. So I think he spends a lot of time in prayer and meditation.
A lot of time, and a lot of time praying for people. And trust me, it has that thing. And Rona just manifested yellow balls, yellow balloons. Okay, thank you. I liked them. They were going up to Fiona as she was talking. Her great thing. The whole thing is, it's a pity. And I should have gone and I should have asked many, many questions and kept him going. I used to do that at Holy Isle a lot. But he's just reached that point, we really, 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 he doesn't really want to do that. So I'll just end. I was going to do this lovely chess game, but I won't do it. I'll just end with 2 little stories. Number 1, an oak tree grew in a garden for more, it comes from the same Zen book, and it's got philosophy next to it. An oak tree grew in the garden for more than 40 years. One summer, a nearby rosebud began to unfold the glorious colors of its petals. The oak tree was tired of being the same dull shades of green and brown, and longed to be as beautiful as the rose. I think an oak tree is beautiful. So one morning, when the rose was in its full glory, the tree told the rose of its desire to be like it. The rose, in turn, expressed its admiration for the height and strength of the oak tree, and told the tree that it would be most willing to change places for a day. And so, with the aid of the garden spirits, they changed places. That afternoon, a gardener came and cut the rose to take it into the house. That's the story, okay? Think about it, because we're all always wishing we could be like this one and that one, or have this and that and the other. And then this is a very famous Buddhist story. Most of you probably know it, but it's very important. 2 monks were returning to the monastery in the evening. It had rained and there were puddles of water on the roadside. At one place, a beautiful young woman was standing, unable to walk across because of a puddle of water. The elder of the 2 monks went up to her, lifted her in his arms, and left her on the other side of the road, and continued his way to the monastery. In the evening, the younger monk came to the elder monk and said, "Sir, as monks, we cannot touch a woman." The elder brother said, "Yes, brother." Then the younger monk asks again, "But then, sir, how is it that you lifted that woman on the roadside into your arms?" The elder monk smiled at him and told him, "I left her on the other side of the road, but you are still carrying her." Now that story, okay, is a beautiful story. And the thing is, don't carry your stuff. Don't carry it on so that you've got the same theme day after day after day. And the fears, false evidence appearing real, FEAR, the fears and the worries and the problems are just carried all the time. Put them down. Take in a deep breath and breathe into your beautiful nature of mind. And remember that that beautiful nature of mind is not even as much as touched, never mind stained, by the difficult circumstances. It doesn't even exist. In the nature of mind, it is aware, it can see what you're going through, but it's not touched, and certainly doesn't carry it along. put your burdens down and make an offering of what you've got. Manifest what you need in your life and draw people to you. Then you'll find wherever you are, you just draw, people are drawn to you, and you touch, you make that connection with them, and everything starts changing in your life when it's difficult. So let's dedicate, Fee. We won't do more stories. I think you've had enough of my stories now. So let's dedicate for all the people in wars, in trauma, in trials and tribulations, being repressed in governments, being without food, being in the middle of a war and really getting so despondent, being everywhere where there is really great difficulties. If there's any merit from any of the stories and any of it, we dedicate that merit to all these beings and to all of you who are struggling. Through this merit, may all beings attain omniscience. May all obscurations fall away from the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death. From the ocean of samsara, may all beings be freed. Sonam die tamche zipane, topne ne pedranam pamshene, jeganachi balak dropaye, sipe sole doa dro warsho.